Reharmonization is the replacement of one set of chords for another in a piece of music. We usually do this to enhance or extend the existing harmonic progression of a song. The idea is to lend variety and depth to a progression that might seem a bit plain or uninteresting. Now, reharmonization can happen on many levels of complexity, and in the two videos of this set, we'll cover some beginning concepts. This video will cover diatonic reharmonization, that is replacing the existing progression with additional chords that fit in the key. In the second video, we'll consider chromatic reharmonization, a kind of rich enhancement of the progression that includes chromatic notes that are outside of the key. In this video, we will be working with the well-known spiritual, Go Tell It on the Mountain. First, we should consider the complete diatonic set of chords in the major key. Let's first do this in the key of C major. By constructing a major scale, we can discover the diatonic set by simply building thirds on each scale degree to build a harmony. In this example, we will build 4-note chords. The resulting set will produce a predictable pattern of chord qualities: C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B half diminished 7. That is, the 1 major 7, 2 minor 7, 3 minor 7, 4 major 7, 5 dominant 7, 6 minor 7, and 7 half diminished 7. These qualities will always be the same, regardless of the key we use to construct them. Since our piece of music is in the key of G, we should build this diatonic set of chords in the key of G. G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D7, E minor 7, F sharp half diminished 7. Notice that we get the exact same order of chord qualities. This will be the order of chord qualities regardless of what key you build this diatonic set in. If we were to simply play this set of chords moving up or down the scale, we would say that the progression is moving by the root tone motion of the second. In fact, this simple chord progression can be used effectively to create a pretty straightforward type of reharmonization. Let's take a look at our song. First, we should provide a quick analysis of the song using the diatonic chords set that we constructed. In the first two measures, this is a pretty long stretch with just one chord, G. I'm going to reharmonize and substitute in a string of ascending diatonic chords moving by root tone motion of the second. In fact, the chords of the lower half of the major scale, 1, 2, 3, and 4, that is in this key, G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, are the most common ones used for progression like this. And here, notice how the progression connects nicely with the 5 chord in measure 3. Now I'm going to the last chord of the A section, measure 8, and I'm going to fill in with the same progression, but now in reverse. 4, 3, 2, that's C major 7, B minor 7, A minor 7, and then this will connect with the G major 7 chord at the beginning of the piece. The A section now sounds like this. Sometimes we wish to substitute a secondary chord for a primary chord that is printed in the score. Remember, the primary chords are 1, 4, and 5, while the secondary chords are 2, 3, 6, and 7. The primary chords can be associated with particular secondary chords because of the similarity of their notes. For example, in this key, the 1 chord is G major 7. Notice it has a similar tone content to the 3 chord, B minor 7, and also the 6 chord, E minor 7. For this reason, both the 3 and 6 chords can be used as substitutes for the 1 chord. Now, notice how the 4 chord, the C major 7, has similar notes to the 2 chord, A minor 7, and the 6 chord, E minor 7. By the same logic, both the 2 chord and the 6 chord can be used as substitutes for the 4 chord. Now, we could discover secondary chords that are similar to the 5 chord. They would be the 7 half diminished and the 3 chord. But this is less useful than other types of substitution, so we will not consider that for now. Instead, let's return to our spiritual and find some primary chords that are ripe for secondary substitution. When substituting, you can either replace a chord with one of its substitutes or follow the original chord with a substitute. In measure 1, we will follow the 1 chord with its secondary substitute 6, the E minor 7. This actually creates a progression in thirds. That is root tone progression by the third, which is another very common type of progression. In measure 2, we will use both of the possible substitutes for the 1, the 3 minor 7, B minor 7, and the 6 minor 7, E minor 7. In measure 4, we will replace the 4 chord, the C major 7, with the substitute of the 2 chord, A minor 7. And finally, we will add a few substitutes for the 1 chord in measures 5 and 6, just as we did in measures 1 and 2. And I will keep that diatonic progression in descending seconds in measure 8 that we wrote previously. Let's give it a listen. Our final topic of this video will be to consider progressions that move by the root tone of the fifth. If we return to our set of diatonic chords in the key of G, we can rearrange them so that the chord root tones move down by the interval of the fifth. This is called circular progression. We can use the circle of fifths descending to help us with this task. For example, first start on G, since that's the key, and then move forward to C, the 4 chord for C major 7. Now, if we move forward on the circle again to get the next descending fifth, we end on F. But of course, F is not in the key of G. So instead, we will cut right across the circle from C to F sharp, which gives us another scale tone. That's our 7 half diminished 7 chord. Now we'll continue clockwise till we get back to G. B minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7, G major 7. Here are a few ways to think about using circular progression to reharmonize. When you see a dominant chord, the 5 chord, you can substitute in a piece of the circular progression. For example, the 5-7, D7 can be replaced by 2-5, that is A minor 7, D7. Or, a little larger, 6-2-5, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7. Or finally, even 3-6-2-5, B minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7. That is if you have enough beats to fill all those chords. Now, quite often, the 5 chord is already preceded by a 2 chord. If that is the case, you can still enhance the progression by substituting in a 6-2-5 progression, or even a 3-6-2-5 progression. Let's look at measure 3 of our spiritual and make some circular substitutions for the 5 chord, the D7. Let's first try 2-5, that is A minor 7, D7. Now let's try 6-2-5. That is E minor 7, A minor 7, D7. And finally, let's try 3-6-2-5. B minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7. Another way of using circular progression in your reharmonization is to first use a secondary substitute for a 1 or a 4 chord. This, invariably, will be one of the chords toward the end of the circular progression, and then you could use a portion of the circle to reharmonize to get back to 1. For example, in measure 4, we start with a 1 chord, G major 7. Let's substitute in a secondary chord, the 3 chord, B minor 7. You can see where this is on the circle, so just follow the circle to progress forward through the measure. It's 3-6-2-5. Notice how it matches nicely with the end of the measure. B minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7. In measure 7, let's replace the 1 chord with the 6 chord, E minor 7, and then move forward on the circle. That would be E minor 7, A minor 7, D7, G major 7. In measure 8, we will follow the 1 chord with a secondary substitute, 6, and then move through the circle. This results in the very common turnaround progression of 1, 6, 2, 5. That's G major 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7. Finally, I'm going to make some final decisions here using the techniques learned in this video to create a diatonic reharmonization of the whole piece. So first we're going to replace this E minor 7 with a C major 7. That'll be a pretty effective chord. We'll have this circle of fifths going from G major 7 to C major 7. And we'll also have scale tone motion of the second going from the C major 7 to the B minor 7. For the third measure, let's choose the A minor 7 to D7 progression. That fits pretty well there. And then for the fifth measure, we'll do the same substitution of the C major 7 as we did in measure 1. In measure 7, I'm going to replace the E minor 7 and just start with an A minor 7 so that we have a nice chord change coming from the previous measure. I don't want to go from E minor 7 and stay on E minor 7. And we'll do that same thing for the second ending. Now notice we have to be a little bit careful on some of those D7 chords because the chord is D, F sharp, A, C, and the melody note at some of those points where that D7 chord has a G in it, which really does not blend very well with a D7 chord. The G and the F sharp will conflict. So a couple of ways to handle that. Here I'm delaying the D7 until beat 4, and I'm keeping the A minor 7 going right to beat 3. Notice I'm putting the D in the bass of the A minor 7 to sort of anticipate the D7. I can also use a D7 sus. That's where you have a D7 chord where you replace the third of the chord, F sharp, with the fourth of the chord, G. That'll also accommodate that G melody note. Next, in the bridge section, you can see I'm going to take that G chord and replace it with a circular progression, B minor 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7. We've done that a few times. Here's the D7 sus to accommodate the G pitch. In this next measure, I'm going to follow the G with its secondary sub, E minor 7, and then go around the circle, E minor 7, A minor 7, D7 sus again. Here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with a substitute, a secondary substitute for the G, B minor 7, and then go around the circle, B minor 7, E minor 7, A minor. And then finally for this D7 at the end, I'm going to replace it with A minor 7, D7, a little piece of the circle. For the coda, I'm going to replace that D7 with an A minor 7 going to D7. Again, I'm going to delay that D7 till the fourth beat so that it doesn't conflict with the G. The next thing I'm going to do is arrange this for the piano. I'm going to do it rather quickly because this video doesn't really provide enough time to go into detail. But for each chord, I'm going to keep it as a seventh chord, that is a 4-note chord. I'm going to be putting the bass in the left hand, and I'll be putting the third and the seventh somewhere in the right hand most of the time, and then the melody note on top. So here's a quick arrangement.